according to the article I just read, Kevin Stefanski stated that Shedeur Sanders has taken 11 on 11 reps. Those reps were just closed to the media. Shedeur participated in 11 on 11 reps in the front of the media on Wednesday. Why am I pointing this out? Because of the narrative floating that he won't be given a fair chance to compete. And you know, Earl, as I took a look at your article, or not your article, but your text or your tweet, I was like, there is something to that. If you look at it, you know, we are only privy to how many different different practices. We've seen two practices out up close and personal where we've had media out to those two practices. We've had some stuff at OTAs, but one of the things that a lot of people don't mention is there are practices that nobody is allowed to be, and media is not there. They're working on different things, and we don't know how those reps are split up. What are your thoughts on the fact that there's a lot of things going on behind closed doors and decisions that are being made that maybe we just don't have an opportunity to see that could be taking place?
Yeah, so last week was the first set of the OTAs, the three practices. One was open to the media. I assume the Cleveland Browns is going to handle business the same way with the second set. They practiced today. If you want to see any of the footage, you just look at the Cleveland Browns social media. You will find that the practice will be available to the media tomorrow. And then I think they practice again on Friday, which again will be closed off. I just thought this was important to put out because with Shedeur Sanders comes a brand new fan base, right? He has his own fan base that has kind of integrated themselves within the Cleveland Browns fan base. And people are frustrated or irritated because of the information that's presented to them. And the information presented is, okay, he didn't get the opportunity to run with the 11 on 11s, drills. All he did was 7 on 7s, etc. Him being fourth on the depth chart, they're wondering, okay, when is Shedeur going to get the opportunity to prove what he can do? And I feel like right now, the Cleveland Browns can control as much as the atmosphere as they're going to be able to throughout any point this season. And so having him get his first set of 11 on 11 reps behind closed doors without the media there, I thought it was smart. Now, Kevin did say earlier this week or late last week that, this time around, he will throw an 11-11s in front of the media. But again, to me, I was just putting it out there because I feel like, we know how narratives can easily be created in the media, based on the limited amount of information that's put out there. And a lot of people has walked around this entire time with the assumption of, well, Shedeur didn't got an opportunity to prove what he can do in 11 on 11s. When the truth is, no, he's been out there working in those drills too. We just haven't been able to see it. And right now, I think it's the right approach.
I look at it like this, and it's great that you bring this point up because we're going to bring up a comment that was under the tweet here in a second. Is the fact that there's a lot of different things that coaches do for a lot of different reasons, right? And the one thing that you mentioned is that if you guys don't know, for the people from the outside looking in, the Cleveland Browns are a highly analytical G14 classified team. They won't tell you. You could walk outside and look up and say, "Is it sunny and is it Tuesday?" And they'll tell you, "Well, all depends on where you're at in the city." Like they are very closed mouth with what they do. And a lot of people, have thought like, man, well, is it going to be a fair competition? Is he going to get a fair shake? And a lot of people, if you report the fact that he's not getting first team reps or he's not in there with the ones, people is going to be up in arms. They're going to say, listen, well, I thought this was a competition. But when you bring to the table that when you have a young quarterback and there is going to be media everywhere, right? And guess what? That media is coming and it's going to be well available right when you get to the point where that season starts. Because when he get in the first game, it's from there it goes, right? We talked about how many different articles and how many things that you're going to be involved in. And this opportunity to ease him in when you got a guy who's coming from Colorado, when you got a guy that's coming and you get here and you want to ease him into some things, you want to make sure his transition is good, you want to make sure that everybody gets acclimated to what's going on. It's great. It's a decent idea to say, listen, we're gonna give you the reps. We're gonna have it under closed doors, so we don't have to have everything dissected. We can coach you up, do what we need to do, and get you comfortable, so you don't have to be taking some of the bullets in terms of the questions and those things too. And to me, I don't have a problem with that. It's part of earning the mantle.
Yeah, when I look at it, I think we still have to remind ourselves that we're still in the voluntary part of the OTA program. And so next month, I mean, or with this month now, when they start the mandatory veterans mini camp, I think that'll give fans a better idea of how this quarterback competition is shaping up and then what to expect as we open up training camp. But for right now, if you have the opportunity to control your atmosphere, especially with somebody that comes with what with the name recognition that Shedeur Sanders comes with, then you do that. But I really try not to buy into the narratives that he's not getting a fair shake. Of course, when we talk to people, when the mics is off and when the cameras is off, you get a little bit more insight of what's going on. I think what triggers me though is the limited information that's put out there that intentionally provokes irritation for people that's a part of his fan base,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
you can frame anything the way that you want to frame it, and it's been framed like Shador's not getting his fair shake. You hear people that's a part of his fan base saying already, like, I hope Shedeur actually get traded or things like that. Well, let's pump the brakes. He's a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal. That says unless otherwise, he's here for the next 4 years minimum. And so we need to chill with the whole, he should go ask for that. And I get it. His personal fan base, they have that emotional attachment to him, and they want to see him be put in the best situations to thrive and to have success. But this is the Cleveland Browns. The list of quarterbacks who has started or been given the opportunity to start here since 1999 is longer than my hair right now. So it's just one of those situations to where Shador is going to get his opportunities to show what he can do. I personally think when he gets his opportunities, I think he's gonna ball out. Like me and Mike did a Ultimate 216 show last week, and we did a way too early quarterback projection. And I said going into week one, I think it's Joe Flacco as your QB1 and Shedeur Sanders is your QB2. The reality of the situation is, for me, I understand where Dylan Gabriel was drafted at, and I understand that means, okay, well, the Browns liked him a little bit more. But the reality of it is, when I watch the two play, I don't think Dylan Gabriel is a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. I don't think Kenny Pickett is a better quarterback than either one of them. So I think it's going to shape up come week one: Joe Flacco, Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel.
You bring up a lot of things right there, and I'm a little bit of, like I said before. And one thing I can say about what Shedeur Sanders has put forth right now, and what you talk about Coach Prime a lot. Listen, he's going to come in. We talked to Boogie. He's going to come in and work. Like, at the end of the day, he's done everything, said everything is the right way. But end all be all is what you put down on that tape. He's going to get an opportunity. All of the guys are going to get an opportunity. And it comes down to what you do and what you put on the tape. And I happen to be a person that believes that he will get it done. I think I liked him at 2. I liked him at 33. Heck, I liked him in the 5th round. People talk about the 5th round. Sometimes it could be a blessing in disguise. I'm glad we got a guy of his talent in the 5th round. And now it doesn't matter about the rounds. It's about what you do, what you get when you get your opportunity. So, whether that opportunity comes behind closed doors or in front of this camera, you still have to produce and earn the right. And I think he understands that too.
So I can't remember if it was the 2020 or the 2021 draft, but I posted this on my Twitter account. Jeff Okudah, standout corner from Ohio State, was drafted with the 3rd overall pick in the 1st round. And L'Jarius Sneed, DB, that was ended up in Kansas City, was drafted 4th overall. And I said something along the lines of, like, saying like Dylan Gabriel is better than Shedeur just because he was drafted higher. It's like saying Jeff Okudah is a better player than L'Jarius Sneed because he was a 1st round pick 3, and L'Jarius was drafted in the 4th round. There's no perfect science when it comes to the draft. If you hear the Baltimore Ravens general manager speak, I think he did an interview right after the draft to where he talked about, none of these GMs really know who's good and who's not, and it's really pretty much just a crapshoot. And so when you got as many opportunities, or how did he put it? You want to get as many at bats as you can
Right.
and see if you can hit it out the park. And so I don't really care where players are drafted. I just care what they do with the opportunities when they get them. And I just think that he's going to make the most of his opportunities. I have learned over my couple of years, just following this team much closely. When you talk to in quote unquote insiders and people that's around, Zach Jackson is very, very honest, very transparent. And I always go back to what he said about Deshaun Watson. That was opposite to the news that me and you were hearing,
Yep.
as somebody that was supporting, okay, let's see if we can get this thing turned around. And he said, no, he don't look good at all. This ain't
At
it. This
all.
ain't all. And just listening and paying attention and then just getting feedback, it's starting to shape itself out of who's rising to the top as far as this quarterback competition is shaping out, even though it's early.
Listen, let's get to some comments that we had under the post. Make sure, hey man, matter of fact, let me put that back up here, man. Make sure you follow at Earl the Pearl 216 on Twitter, man. He had this up here. Let's go to some of these comments. Response one. Mel says, yeah, I think it's also important to remember we early in the process when we start training camp and preseason. That's where you want most of the reps coming from. If you support Shedeur, if he lights it up, then we will all see it, and nobody can lie about anything. I think he brings up a very good point, Earl, is the fact that we're super early in the process, and sometimes here's where I come out on top. Come out of the thought at it's almost too early. It does you no good to really say other people is trash or to downplay anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may think like you just said. I think that Shedeur probably has the best traits. I would like to see him play. I'm sure there's some people that think Dylan Gabriel is a guy that they want to support. Kenny Pickett or even Joe Flacco. At this point, we ain't seen nobody throw no balls, do nothing. So it don't really do you no good to go too hard at it, because at the end of the day, you're going to get your opportunity, and then that's when we going to really be into it, seeing what's going on.
Yeah, and I think Tyvis did a great job of laying this out about a week or so ago. Like, we still way early in the process, and once we get to that mandatory veterans camp, okay, then you start ramping it up, and then it's time for us to start digging a little closer.
Yeah.
But once by the time that they return for training camp, that's when, if you want to start charting stats, go right ahead. If you really want to start looking at this thing under the microscope, go right ahead. Because at that time, you got padded practices, you got the offense going against the defense. And what you do in those practice sessions, that's where it really, really counts. But, charting stats and throws and all that other stuff at this current gesture, I just think that's unnecessary. And again, I think it's helped driving these narratives one way or another when it's just too early to be doing all of that.
Let's get some response number two. Ricky Smith says, I've said it. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets more team reps in the sessions closed to the media, just so the whole nation isn't reporting every reps. And you think about that. The job of the coaches to evaluate and get everything done, I think it's actually slightly savvy. I think probably sometimes I was talking today, I was talking to McNuggets, and I was like, listen, you think they'd be laughing at us? You think they'd be like, oh man, these dudes really be thinking we be out there really giving them what they running? Well, we run all our stuff behind closed doors, dog.
I do, especially like, this is just a guess. I think Kevin Stefanski get really, really irritated with us in the media.
Oh, he do.
I think he gets irritated with the questions. He gets irritated with the line of questioning.
Right.
He's had to deal with Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson, now a personality like Shedeur Sanders, and he knows what comes with that. And he just gets so annoyed because all he really wants to do is coach his football team, not answer our stupid ass questions about what we think is going to happen or things like that. He just wants to kind of roll out a plan and be a football coach, not a guy that sit up there and answers our questions about things that he would much rather keep in private. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he tries to outsmart us more often than not. And what we see, when the media is public, is just a facade. And the real work always gets done when nobody is around.